Hello students, welcome to the first video in Module 5. In this video, we are going to start the introduction about the new concept called event handling. Event handling is one of the major popularly known feature of Java. In that, we are going to discuss about how event handling models are designed in Java and how different types of events are implemented in Java, and what are the two event handling mechanisms which are prescribed by the Java programming language. Let us go to the topic. The module 5 is having the two major portions. One is the first portion is event handling. In that two event handling mechanism is the first title, then delegation event model, and we are going to discuss about the event classes, sources of events, the event listener interfaces, and how adapter classes and inner classes of adapter classes are used in event handling. So this is the first portion in module 5. The second portion of module 5 starts with the concepts of swings. Swings is another one concept which involves the event in Java programming. That package itself is different from normal Java package. So in the second portion of the module 5, we are going to discuss about the Java Swing applications and what are the different types of Java Swing buttons and GUI environment is designed in Java. So according to model 5, it consists of two portions. First portion is event handling and second portion is swings. What is meant by event handling? Event handling is one of the mechanism that controls the events and decides what should happen if the event is occurs. If the event is happened and occurred means what is the follow-up action has to be taken is called as event handling. That even these mechanisms have the code which is known as event handler. It has the one code called as event handler, and whenever the event is occurred, that event handler code will be executed. Basically, the event model in Java programming has three important components. What are those means? First one is the meaning of events. Second one is what are the event sources available and defined in Java packages, and what is meant by events listener. So these three important components are involved in event handling. Let us see what are the important components. And coming on to advantages of event handling, it is very simple and well suited for object oriented programming environment. And disadvantages is like it can be only handled by the component. So if you take one button as a component, that button event only is responsible for handling the event, whether the button is clicked or not clicked. Then similarly, if you have mouse as one of the component, mouse even that corresponding mouse events are the in charge for the handling these events. And another one in disadvantages, in order to handle event handlings, we must either subclass the component or that receives the event, or handle event method should be there. So we have to either go for the inheritance of that subclass, or we should go for that particular event handle methods. So these two are the two conditions. So that two conditions are made as disadvantages of event handling. Then move on to delegation event model. The Java provides the delegation event model for providing the event handling. And what is the advantages and how it is defined means it is defined to handle the events in a GUI environment. It uses the GUI programming languages, and GUI is nothing but graphical user interface. And what are the advantages of delegation event model means it is completely separate from the interface logic, and the listener, what is the event listener we are using, that listener must be connected to a source to receive. So that event listener must match with the event source. If you take mouse listener and if you have performed with this mouse listener with keyboard listener means, then it won't be matched. So it won't be connected. So obviously we must aware about the knowledge of what is the listener we are using and what is the event source to receive it. and events will only be received by the listeners. That is what the same contents. So events only will be received by its respective listeners. And what is the that is what it has the one complete association with the events listener and event source. That is what it is more convenient to use rather than inheritance based event model. So rather than inheriting a one subclass even mouse event class in your respective implementation class, it is more convenient to use the even handler methods. So that's why it is felt as more convenient for the use. Then we'll go for the definition of event. And event is an object. First answer is event is an object that describes the state, right? That describes the state, and it can be generated as a consequences of a person interacting with the elements in the graphical user interface. What are the examples of event? Means pressing a button is a one event, right? If you press one button, that is treated as one event. And if you enter a character through the keyboard, that is called as a one key event. And if you are selecting an item in the from list, means that is called as a mouse event. Like that, there are n number of events that are already implemented in Java. And what are these event sources? Means a source is an object that generates an event. So event is an object that has its states. And what is meant with source? Means it is another object that generates the event, and this occurs when an internal state of the object changes in some way. And every type of event has its own registration method, and every source must register with the listeners in order for the listeners to receive the notifications. So these are all the important points about the event resources. And what is meant by event listeners? Event listener is another one object that is notified when an event occurs. So whenever the event occurs, that it will be notified by the corresponding listeners. And it has major two requirements. First one is it must be registered with one or more resources to receive the notification. If you are, say for example, I will tell one example here. If you are using mouse listener, means that mouse listener should be registered with the corresponding sources. What kind of, whether that particular panel is associated with that mouse listener, means then it will be corresponding notifications will be sent and the corresponding action will be performed. If it is not properly registered with the corresponding component, then it won't be notified. Then second, it must implement the methods to receive and process this notification. It must be implemented. First thing is it should be registered. Second one is it should be implemented. Say for example, I will go for the general form, public void add type listener of type listener example. So here I will take one example as mouse listener. Add mouse moved or add mouse dragged, means then here the type of listener is mouse listener, the action performed is mouse moved or not. Then that is what the type is the name of the event, and EL is the reference for the event listener. Similarly, add key listener and add mouse listener are the two methods. Move on to the relations between the event and event source and event listener. This diagram shows the exact relationship. Here event is one of the object. It is connected with the event sources. So from event sources, event object will be created, and this event source and event listener should be registered first. So event source and event listener should be registered. Whenever that event is invoked, it will go and see the event sources. It will be notified in the event listener. Then it will be implemented in the exact event class. Okay, so this is the relation between this one. Another one diagram shows the another one way of explaining its relationship. As we know that event is the one of the object that shows the state of an object, and source is the one of the object that generates the events, and listener is an object that listens to the event. So we can say that event is a state and source is an object generates events, and listener is the one object which listens to the event. And the benefits of this relation means it provides, as we know, that it provides the user interface elements. So user interface elements like button, labels, checkbox are easily able to delegate to the processing event. Right here, this is the one diagram shows this is the event source. The event source is going to generate the event. That event is will be listened by the event listener. So this process is called as a delegation of responsibility. Say from source the event is generated. This event, whatever the event generated by the source, will be listened with the help of handlers. And this is another one diagram shows the exact counts of relationship between the source and the objects. Say for example, if you take one event source, it may have n number of listeners and it may have n number of objects also. If you take one source key mouse mouse listener and mouse event, it means it will go whether the mouse is moving or dragging, or mouse is idle, or like the mouse is clicked or double clicked. So these are all the different types of events generated by the event source called as mouse event. Then listeners are correspondingly according to the events what it is generated. Listeners also will be performing the role to listen its actions. So what kind of, whether the event the mouse is double clicked means what is the role, whether the event is clicked means what is the role, whether the mouse is only listen, that means it is only dragged means what is the point. So these are all the actions performed by its corresponding listeners. I hope so this video is understandable for you. I will catch you in the next video about next topic. Thank you.